As my role as host of this program, I will endeavor to answer your questions to the best of my ability using our Catholic faith, the Bible, our tradition, our popes, councils, saints, doctors, theologians, and just about anything that will help you walk away satisfied that your question has been answered. Now let's get to Francis. So Francis, according to the National Catholic Reporter that I have in front of me, what was this, February 1st, so that was yesterday, says no concession to those who deny Vatican II teachings. And let me just read this very short article here because that'll give us something to start with. And that says, written by Joshua McKelwey, and National Catholic Register's Vatican correspondent and international news editor. So he says, Pope Francis on January 30th urged those charged with passing on the principles of the Catholic faith to consider the teachings of the Second Vatican Council as sacrosanct, saying that to be Catholic, one must adhere to the reforms brought about by the landmark event. Quoting Francis, he says, "You can be with the Church and therefore follow the Council, or you cannot follow the Council or interpret it your own way as you want, and you are not with the Church," unquote. The pontiff said in a meeting with a group of catechists connected to the Italian Bishops' Conference. Quote, again from Francis, "The council is the magisterium of the Church. On this point, we must be demanding, severe. The council cannot be negotiated." And further quoting the Pope, "Please, no concession to those who seek to present a catechesis that does not accord with the magisterium of the Church," he told the catechists. Francis told the catechists that the Church is living through a problem of selectivity with regard to the Council's teachings, and said it was a similar problem to one experienced after earlier church councils. The Pope mentioned a group of Catholic bishops who decided to create their own church because of disagreements after the First Vatican Council, held in Rome from 1869 to 1870, in an apparent reference to what is now known as the Old Catholic Church. Quoting the Pope again, he says, "I think often about a group of bishops who, after Vatican I, left to continue the quote-unquote true doctrine that wasn't that of Vatican I. Today, they ordain women," the Pope continued, and then said, "The severest attitude to guard the faith without the magisterium of the Church brings you to ruin," unquote. Okay, so Francis is always got you on your toes, doesn't he? You never know what he's going to say. And some of the things he says here are very good, like the one we just read. Okay. Yeah, I know very well about this old Catholic Church that didn't like what Vatican I had to say and made their own church and called it the Old Catholic Church. So, they're either in ipso facto excommunication or they're in schism. I don't know exactly what the Church of Rome status is for them right now, or even if they exist. But here's a fact I didn't know that I would like to verify, and that is, according to the Pope, they do still exist. I don't know where. I guess I'll have to look that up too. He says they ordain women. So, wow. Here's the Pope Francis, who just a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, was talking about the things he was going to give to women in the church. And then he comes out with a document, last week? And it's by far and away something that I was rather happy to see, because I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it actually was. And here in that document, he was saying that, women acolytes, and what was the other one? I think it was it deacons? No, or was some, women lecterns, not women deacons. And I thought I was going to talk about women deacons, but just lecterns and acolytes basically was. So he was just basically rubber stamping what the church had already allowed under John Paul II. And, that was a sigh of relief, because, as you know, some of the things that Francis has come out with, at least in his private discussions, have been rather off the wall, you might say, and had everybody up in alarm. And then, of course, recently we had his little expose of Pachamama. So it's hit or miss with Francis. You never know what you're going to get, and maybe that's the way he likes it. Maybe he likes to be the mysterious pope who is, as he says himself, full of surprises. So, and I think that's good, because if Francis was of such a nature where I could actually predict what he was going to do based on previous things he did that were not so good, wow, what a mess we would be in. Okay. So here we find Francis saying, they ordain women in the old Catholic Church, and they do that because why? Because they've left the true magisterium of the present Catholic Church. And what a great example that was to point out. They ordain women, which means Francis has no intention whatsoever of ordaining women, unless he has another surprise he's going to pull out of his hat. I don't know. But as it stands now, women out there, don't look forward to being ordained under Pope Francis. That's for sure. I can't imagine him saying something like that and not actually feeling that way in his heart. So, that's even more important than this whole thing about Vatican II, because it's probably one of the greatest examples in the face of all the other Protestant denominations that, not Muslim, because they would never have a woman, they can barely get their head unwrapped, literally, much less become what they call the caliph in the Muslim religion. But many Protestant denominations, most of them liberal, and I did a study on this once, and I was just amazed, even among the conservative ones. I would say maybe 10 out of 100 were maintaining the line against women pastors, ordaining women to whatever their ministries are, across the board. Okay. So the ones that are maintaining it are the very conservative churches. But most of them have answered this question by saying, yeah, what's the big deal? Why can't we have women ordained as pastors? But not so in the Catholic Church. Okay, so that shows you. What does that show you? It shows you that Jesus is protecting his church in the doctrinal sense. Okay, so that we know Jesus promised to us from the beginning.